Playing lead is a complex task. It takes a lot of study and practice. But knowing what to play, why, and when is probably the biggest challenge. Gaining capability around that idea doesn't come from a diagram, doesn't come from a tab sheet. It comes from connecting your ears and your hands to your brain. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Chris. Today you will learn how to choose what to play. Now, what you play, when you play it, and why seems like a pretty important decision if you want your solos to sound good. But frankly, figuring out which one of those solutions, or even what solutions are available, is a pretty daunting task. The key to mastering how you make these decisions is in understanding how those choices sound, right? You can't really make a good informed decision if you don't know what kind of sounds you're going to make, right? Once you can hear these things before you play them, you've arrived at turning your musical preference into your musical capability. But knowing how to translate what you hear into what you play is a little tricky and requires some work. Without any capability around that idea, your solos start to sound like an endless string of uninspired notes. Sound familiar? I know it was for me. I'm going to show you how a few different soloing solutions, right? Ideas, things to play over a chord progression. I'm going to show you how they sound over a specific chord progression. By doing this type of exercise, we start to build the skill of being able to understand what we're about to play, or better yet, hearing something in our heads and going, oh, that's the minor pentatonic scale, or whatever. It's that sonic familiarity that allows us to make informed decisions about what we play. Let's zoom in, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so I've prepped a backing track for us. What we're going to do here is just play the backing track. That's our sort of solo section. We're going to bring in 5 different solo solutions that fit over this track, and we're going to take the time to listen to each one in relation to the track to see what they sound like. What kind of opportunities do we have for each one of these solutions? The track itself is A to D to E minor, back to D, and then A. And that just repeats, right? That's our sort of solo section. That's where we're gonna bring in these solutions and stick them on top of there. The solutions we're going to use are all in A. In other words, A is our sort of home base, right? Because even though the progression has these other chords in it, A feels like home. It feels like the center of where we're at. So that's our tonal center, A. So we're going to use the A major pentatonic scale, the A minor pentatonic scale, the A blues scale, the A mixolydian scale, and then we're going to bring in triads. And triads are just the smallest form of chord, and we're going to outline the chord progression with triads. So those are our 5 solutions, 4 different scales, and then bringing these triads in. So the first one is the major pentatonic scale. This is the My Girl scale. Right? Really nice sounding scale. Sort of a mellow sounding, uplifting sounding scale. A major pentatonic. Let's just listen to what that sounds like against the track. Here we go. Really sweet sounding scale. It doesn't have a lot of tension in it, but if you listen to these notes individually, you will find the tension spots. So the A sounds pretty good, right? Listen to this B. Lots of tension here. That's pretty tense. E sounds okay. Listen to this note. So we're going to want to really take advantage of those tension points. There's that B. It's always safe to sort of get back to the root. When you can phrase back to the root, it gives you some sort of back and forth, and it allows you a place to dump out any tension that you've generated in the scale. Let's bring our second contestant up. This is going to be the A minor pentatonic scale. You probably already know this. Incredibly useful scale. First thing I wanted to point out, though, is that this chord progression has an A major in it. And this scale has a C in it. So that's going to be an interesting tension point. Let's listen to the A minor pentatonic scale over this progression. It's probably something you've done before over a progression like this. You can already hear the tension points are here in that C note and in the G note, right? So I'm going to start using those. You're probably already pretty used to that. It's an easy sound to get into your head, and it probably already starts to feel familiar. Once you play a scale enough times, it starts to connect your hands and your ears together, and that's what we're doing here. The next scale up is that same scale with a flat 5. This is called the A blues scale. Let me just show you what that looks like first, and then we'll play it along with the track. So this note, that's the flat 5. I can already tell this is going to be trouble, right? Let's listen to this scale over the track. We're just going to play through it and listen to that flat 5 and how much tension it creates. One more time. Now, if you hang out on that flat 5, it's just too much, right? It just doesn't work. You really have to resolve it. It's our responsibility as musicians when we create tension to have a plan to resolve it. So I'm just going to use that flat 5 as a passing note. I'm not going to hang on it, right? Right? Already know that this has got to be treated really, really carefully, right? I'm just going to use it as a passing tone. So we're getting to learn these scales. We're getting to know where the tension points are, and we're just attaching ourselves to these personalities, these musical personalities. Next one up is going to be the A mixolydian scale. Let me show you that. A mixolydian is one of the modes of the major scale. It's built off the 5th degree. Lots of theory mumbo jumbo there, but just know that this scale since it comes from the major scale, it's a mode of the major scale, it has 7 notes. Not 5 like the pentatonic and not 6 like the blues scale. So it's got extra notes in it. Before we even get started, check it out. It has half steps in it. All right, so now I'm going to play the A mixolydian scale over the track nice and slow. Just going to play the scale. Now look at these half steps here. Great place to bend notes there, a half step. As a 7-note scale, it's a little more sophisticated. It's got more notes in it, right? More different colors. It's a more sophisticated sound because it's got extra notes. Now I'm just going to play some triads. Triads are the smallest chord we can make that defines whether a chord's major or minor. This chord progression has A, D, and E minor in it. So I'm going to use the following triads. Here I'm going to use this triad for my A, this for the D, and this for the E minor. I'm just going to play those triads over the chord progression as it goes and just outline those chords using the chords themselves. Those are just the triads. Now, one cool thing you can do with triads, clearly they are very melodic because they are the chords, right? But check this out. I'm going to use each one of these strings, the B string first, then the G string, and then the D string, to play the chord progression with just the notes from the triad on that specific string, okay? So the A chord, for example, has a note here on the B string. When I change to the D chord, that note's moved up to the 7th fret. When I go to the E minor, it comes back down to the 5th fret, and then the D, 7th fret, A, 5th fret again. Just listen to that. I'm gonna do it for the B string, and then I'm gonna move back and forth through the chord progression on the G string, and then do it for the D string as well. Check this out. Next string. Finally, the D string. So I'm going to weave those together now. Since they're all chord tones, you can really use these to weave little melodies together. It's very, very effective. Okay, so we've met 5 different solutions: major pentatonic, minor pentatonic, blues scale, mixolydian, that's 7-note scale, and then we just use triads. Each one of these solutions has a bit of a different expressive opportunity over this chord progression. And what we're doing by sort of isolating them and bringing them in one at a time, playing them nice and slow, is we're getting our ears connected to our hands, led by our brains. And those 3 things working together start to allow you to unlock what these musical personalities are of these solutions. And once you unlock them, then you can control them. Okay, well, there it is. It's really about knowing what these things are going to sound like before you play them, right? After all, these are just tools to be used, right? Each scale, each solution is a tool. You wouldn't pick up a tool that you didn't know how to use, would you? As guitar players, we tend to do this. This is why these types of instructions and these types of drills and exercises build unique muscle. Connecting your hands and your ears and your brain together, they build this skill that allows you to hear what you're going to play or play what you hear in your head. Tabs for this lesson are available on my Patreon page. Head on over there if you want to grab them. And there's a free trial on my Patreon page for the studio tier. It allows you to take a look at all the stuff that I've got offered there for free for 7 days. You've got really nothing to lose. If you thought you wanted to get deeper with me or you wanted to support the channel, head on over. There's never been a better time to just check it out. As always, I hope this has been informative and helpful. Stay curious, keep those ears open, and I'll see you next time.